It is 1 o'clock in the fucking morning. Howdy, everybody.
Oh boy, 1 a.m. Time for hyphenated reviews here. Remember the hyphen. What's up, everybody? I'm Average Joe Squad.
And I'm Zuckets at 134.
And we just got out of seeing Eternals, and holy fuck, I forgot how long this movie was going to be.
Yeah, that was like, what, almost 3 hours?
Yeah.
Because we started at 10:15.
10:15, so 10:20, give or take, once you get past the 3 hours. And we got out at like 1 a.m.
So like 2 hours and 20 minutes. God, that was long. It didn't feel that long, though.
No, it didn't.
It was really, so full disclosure, I went into this movie thinking I was going to hate it. Because, like, I
went into this movie saying, I know jack shit about any of these people, but I'm going to learn.
For me, it was mostly just because, like, they had to explain how these nigh immortal beings just let Thanos, who himself an eternal, wreck. And to be fair, they still didn't really give an answer. Like they were told by, well, we'll get into it, but the answer they gave, I understand why they did. I just think it was dumb, especially given what the Eternals' goal was. But whatevs. So, yeah. I went into this kind of not thinking I'd like it. I did like it. It was actually pretty good. I you know.
Which I told you you were going to leave that
no,
theater.
I
You were
know.
going to be like, this was a decent movie.
I don't know what you want. I'm an MCU simp. I knew I was gonna like it anyways because it gives me what I fucking want. Like, I may not like. And to be fair, that's the problem I have with the Eternals is the same problem I have with them in the comics and with characters like the Eternals, which is these nigh omnipotent beings or beings with unimaginable power who are so powerful that the writers have to write in, oh, they cannot interfere because they would solve the fucking problem in like 2 minutes. I mean, and to be fair, that's just a thing. Like, that's just a hang-up I have. And to be fair, I can let it go when I watch stuff. I just accept that it's a bullshit rule and that it's because the plot demands.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Like, it's not like I fully went in hating this movie. It's just I was going to be annoyed by whatever bullshit they said about why they couldn't interfere with Thanos.
Yeah.
But, so, anyway. Eternals is about a group of godlike beings that were sent to Earth on a mission to protect humanity so that they can flourish and develop into an advanced race, while protecting them from these creatures known as deviants. Which,
and before we go any further, obviously, spoilers apply.
Yeah, spoilers ahead.
If you haven't seen the movie, why the fuck are you watching it?
What the fuck you doing here?
Turn this video off, go watch the movie, then come back.
And basically, we see their story, you know, from them coming to Earth in the year 5000 BC, all the way up to modern times, where a new set of deviants has returned, and they learn some dark secrets about themselves and the Celestials. And that's the basic plot.
We finally got a movie that wasn't basically Iron Man 1.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we did. It was
They finally did it.
I mean, to be fair, like, there's a lot of movies that aren't Iron Man 1, but, like, a lot
know
of...
what I'm saying, though.
Yeah,
A lot of
movies. Well, just because in case somebody hasn't caught our talk about how most of the origin movies for Marvel are straight up Iron Man 1. Some of them aren't, like, Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty good.
And what we mean by that is they basically follow the same basic formula that
Yeah.
Iron Man 1 did.
Yeah, which,
Which is a take on the hero's journey.
Yeah.
You could get into that. Read Man of a Thousand Faces.
which also ends with the main character fighting a distaffed counterpart of himself to represent the character growth he's gone through.
Yeah.
Basically defeating themselves and becoming better people for it. Like Ironmonger, Yellow Jacket, Taskmaster and Black Widow.
Jude Law and Captain Marvel.
Jude Law and Captain Marvel.
I can't remember that guy's name, sadly. I'm flipping my mind.
That's fair. But no, like... Shit, would that mean Venom Let There Be Carnage is kind of an Iron Man-like movie?
Kinda. Anyway. So again, going into this movie, we really had no... I had really nothing to gauge it on because I knew nothing about the characters. And, like, I also went into it like, okay, I'm not going to do my research because if I do my research, what will happen is I'll have an idea of what this is going to be, and it's going to be so far off base that I'm probably not going to get as much enjoyment out of it. So I kind of went in totally blind.
Yeah.
And I think the movie does a really good job of setting everything up and explaining it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
While also like not totally bombarding you with all this lore.
Yeah.
That even people like me and Adam, who are pretty well versed in stuff, there was a lot of points during this movie where you and I both were like,
I have no idea.
I just gotta sit back and let them explain because
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I mean, if I were to critique anything, well, I do think they do a good job. It is very lore heavy to the point where I kind of forgot that they were doing superhero stuff for halfway through. And to be fair, I think to the movie's credit, they did that more because they had to establish all 7 Eternals, because there are like 7 of them, and this is their first movie. So you had to they had to explain the lore of them while also developing them as characters, and I think they do a very good job because they're all distinct enough. You know them by the end of it. Like Droog is the mind controller. Circes is the magician of the group. Sprite has the ability to create illusions. Icarus, who's, my god, is the most on-the-nose name out of all of them.
Homelander. He's basically Homelander / Superman.
Well, I mean, when you find that out in the end of the movie.
No, I mean, even power-wise.
Power-wise, yeah. He's basically, yeah. He can fly. He shoots laser beams. There's a dude who can create, like, bullets with, like, energy bullets. I forget his name. And I'm sorry for creating all of them. Like, they're all based on, like, mythology, because the idea is that
there was a lot of characters in this movie.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to keep them all straight.
I remember Angelina Jolie as Athena, which... Just call her Athena. Like, I get that it's... Oh, no, it's different because, like, you know, mythology and history has changed her name. You just could have called her Athena. I get that probably...
Adam, are you endorsing cultural appropriation?
I'm not doing... They're the one guy just flat out named Icarus. Like... And probably most people, when they go into this movie, will not remember her name is just Athena. Especially when they have a guy named Gilgamesh. Which... But, well, I like that the idea is that, like, they explain how mythology is because the deviants all kind of look like creatures of myth. Like, at one point they straight up fight a minotaur.
One looked like a griffin at one point.
One looked like a griffin. And basically Sprite taught them, like, how, like, you know, in order for humans to, reach for something, she turned them into mythology. Athena became the goddess of wisdom, Athena. Gilgamesh fought the dragon Bahamut, which they also lead into a reference to the lore of Gilgamesh, which I actually remembered at the end of there, because they fight a being at the end named Tiamat, which is the dragon that killed Gilgamesh and would lead into the end of the world. One of the many end of the world scenarios. In fact, I think actually, if I remember correctly, it's implied that Christianity took that for the Book of Revelations, because there's a 10-headed dragon that appears as one of the signs of the end of the world in the Book of Revelation. That's straight up just Tiamat from the lore of Gilgamesh. Also, probably what is also the dragon that is Ragnarok in, well, the Norse version of the end of the world.
So basically, very mythology heavy.
Yeah, but like I like the idea that, like, they, in order to kind of help humanity grow, they created the mythology so that humans would have something to strive to. Oh, that gets really weird when you think about the fact that Thor and his people have also came to Earth on multiple occasions, which is how we got the idea of the Norse mythology.
It makes sense because there's multiple mythologies across the
Well,
world.
yeah, true. And I also want to say that, like, in comics, I want to say Thor is related to an Eternal, or, like, the Eternals have some relations to the Norse. Don't quote me on that. That's me trying to remember 800 different comic book lore things, and I could be wrong, but I thought that, like...
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I really liked the movie itself. I thought the plot was really... Once they got going, I feel like it's probably a little slow at the beginning.
Yeah.
But once you really dive into things, I thought it was pretty interesting, and, like, it flowed really, really well. And like Adam said, we were in the theater for, like, almost 3 hours.
Yeah, and it didn't feel that, like,
we were only there for, like... There was one time where, like, I looked at my watch and I was like, "Oh shit, it's 12 o'clock."
Yeah,
we've been here for like 3 hours.
Yeah, like I said, it's very good, and I do agree. That's, like, the only issue I really have is it feels very slow because we have to, like, introduce all these characters. Because, like, they get attacked by the first deviant in, like, 20 minutes in, and then we don't get, like, another deviant attack until they've introduced, like, 5 of the other Eternals.
Yeah.
And at that point, we find out that Ajax had died during that at one point. But yeah, once we got past there, I think the movie really took off pacing wise.
Yeah.
And even then, like, I don't think it's necessarily a super bad problem, but like if you're expecting this to be a little bit more action oriented,
or just kind of like more like MCU type formula movie where like you know we
we're
if
going.
you've seen an MCU movie, you know the formula where we have so much. We got a little bit of setup, then we got to fight. Then we got a little bit more setup, then we got to fight. Like, if you're expecting that, you shouldn't. I mean, you should be prepared to, sit there and like get a lot of exposition.
Yeah, which, in my opinion, I think I get why some critics don't like it that way, because I think a lot of them think that it's because I know the critics bomb the shit out of this film, although
the audience score was like I think an 85 last I looked, so it was like. Yeah. Once again, fuck you, critics.
Well, then I think general audiences do like movies like this. Like, not like I think a lot of audiences would like to like see the lore.
My biggest fear, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on the internet that also have shared this fear, is that critically, I don't want Marvel to look at this and decide, well, we can't do different shit than our formula.
To be honest,
now.
I don't think they are, because that's been like a lot of the big push with this phase, where they've been doing a lot of different things, like especially given like the TV shows.
Well, I feel like that was the main criticism with a lot of the MCU up to this point, was that it was very formulaic.
Yeah, so they want I don't think that's going to change, because like that going forward, I think Kevin Feige even wants to do different things, and that's not a bad thing. I just think that means we might get some stuff that they're going to get experimental, and I don't think it'll be anyone's fault. It's just some of it's not going to land. It's kind of like the last season.
To be fair, the MCU has this history of like they if they make a bad movie, they keep going. They don't just
like that was the case with Hulk too,
or Thor: Dark World,
especially Thor: Dark World. One of these days we need to review that movie so I can tear that thing a new asshole. Not that I don't think the critics have torn that movie a new asshole. That really did suck, but yeah, like I do think that I think that's the biggest reason why critics didn't like it. And I think, the critics who are always positive because they want the same thing over and over and over. So when they finally get something that's cerebral.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing with critics I've noticed is that they'll criticize something for saying the same, but the minute can't talk. The minute that franchise tries to do something different, the critics are like, whoa, they don't stay in their lane.
Yeah, that was the case with
it's why I've always kind of disregarded critics a lot.
Yeah, because
I'm just like, at the end of the day, I could give two fucks with some dude somewhere writing for like, I don't know. Is there a newspaper that still does movie reviews? Times,
a lot of them.
New York Times.
Yeah, it's just
I could really give two shits less, because at the end of the day, a lot of movies that I've personally enjoyed, critically were not very successful.
I agree.
Eddie and the Cruisers, or
I remember
a couple other ones. Like, to me, at the end of the day, critical reviews of stuff should not be the end all be all. Even and then, at the end of the day, they don't always reflect whether a movie is good or not.
Yeah. Well, and I've always stated, just because a lot of people like something does not necessarily mean it's quality.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I just because I like something obscure, I don't think that means, we're not hipsters here where we're like, oh, you like this super popular thing. Well, you're just one of those normies.
Like, shit, dude, my favorite band's the fucking Beatles.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. One of my favorite fucking MCU films is Iron Man, and everybody fucking loved that movie. And I loved it because I was an Iron Man junkie when that came out. But, like, even him and I, like, we're critics technically, but, like, if you don't agree with our opinion, that's fine.
That's
like,
just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, like I.
But there are a lot of people that live and die.
No, I do. Like, hell, I like Roger.
Watch something and make up your own damn mind.
I like Roger and Ebert, but like even I didn't agree with everything they said. Like, I don't honestly think that Batman Forever is that bad of a film.
I don't even think Batman and Robin is that bad of a movie.
No, it's just not what people wanted. But getting back on track, like I said, I'm trying to avoid spoilers because there's a lot in this that I think if you know what's going on, you're not gonna like it. So I've been trying to like stay away from the spoilers. But one thing the other thing I think
Visually, it was a fucking amazing.
visually it was beautiful. They really made the different ancient cultures like come alive. Like Babylon looks beautiful in this. Like it looks like super beautiful because there's all these colors, and there's a lot of color in general in this film. Like not that like the Marvel movies aren't colorful, but like
they tend to kind of do a more subdued. When it comes to color.
Especially given like when we watched Black Widow, there was not a huge amount of color popping in that. Like they stuck to whites and reds and black with a little bit of gold for when Black Widow got to wear her actual outfit.
Yeah.
But like it very much had like that. I mean, granted, that's a spy movie, so I get why it wasn't like a visual masterpiece.
Yeah. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. No, that was just one thing I felt like I had to admit.
I do agree.
Visually, it was
very stunning. Although I will admit, some of the during that fight in Babylon, there's a little bit too much color. My eyes got a little streaks. I was like, oh my god, there's too much color. It was hard to see for a little bit, but I think that might have also been...
that was my issue with Dune, was when they were going back and forth between fucking shots in a cave and desert sun, and I was like, holy fuck, I can't see.
Yeah, well then there's something weird sometimes I notice when I watch CGI on a big screen where my eyes almost like...
It takes them a minute to adjust.
Yeah, like, because I think it's also because, like, they, like, with so much CG, like, you can tell when the camera's a fake movement, so, like, your brain's like, oh, had to lurch there for a second. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a weird sensation when it happens.
It's like a weird vertigo type sense.
Yeah.
It's the same issue I have with IMAX theaters, where I can't go to IMAXs.
Which is weird, because I think the other, well, actually, yeah, this does have a lot in common with Shang-Chi in terms of color and pop, but... Yeah, I do think the effects and stuff in this were really cool. My only other real complaint, I feel bad because Angelina Jolie was such a big sell for this movie because she's like probably one of the biggest named actors in this, and she has so little to do in this movie. And that's given the nature of how they wrote Thena into this, where okay, so this is kind of a big spoiler, but basically the Eternals are synthetic creatures created by the Celestials to do these missions, and basically in order to keep them from losing their sanity, they need to be mind wiped so that they can lose some of their memories so they can keep going. I guess Thena has been doing this so long her mind is no longer able to handle it, so her mind is becoming fractured. And so like there's a lot of points in this movie where she kind of is out of the film for large chunks, or like she can't really fight because then like her brain starts to fracture and she starts attacking her friends. So that was one thing I was a little disappointed with. I kind of think you were disappointed too.
Yeah, I mean, because I really like Angelina Jolie. So.
As do I. I think she's a great actress. It's just they don't use her a lot because
Yeah, but I feel like there was just so much going on that I can't really blame them per se.
No,
because Thena wasn't really the main focus of the movie.
No, that's true. I only say that just because like if you're going into this for seeing her, you might be a little disappointed. Like I said, these are just, if I were to say anything that I take issue with, and sometimes when I say I take issue, it's more like these are the things that I notice that I kind of nitpick. But that's me as I'm notoriously hard to completely please fully. I say knowing that when we go see No Way Home, I'm probably gonna forgive all the flaws in it just because it's a Spider-Man film. And it's gonna be a big Spider-Man film. But there's that. I also think that the Eternals' power sets are kind of unfair. It's like some of them are way more powerful than the others. Like the fact that Drew can like mind control like
entire masses,
and like thousands of people, and then you have like Sprite, whose powers are illusion based, and that's cool.
We're supposed to be a unit.
I see, yeah. And like I said, some of them just see like it seemed kind of weird how much some Eternals had power had, and some of them didn't. Like Ajak had the ability to heal. And you have like Cersei, who can literally turn inanimate objects into something else. So like it was kind of weird, but that happens a lot when you introduce characters like that. Like as much as I think Reed's super cool in the Fantastic Four, his stretchy power kind of pales when you have like a man who is a giant rock monster.
Or someone who's a literal fucking human blowtorch.
Yeah, or Sue, whose powers are like unbelievably broken, given what I've seen her do in the Marvel universe. But and again, those are because I'm not really a teen comic guy. Like that's one of the reasons why I don't enjoy teen books a lot. Because sometimes like they'll make certain characters way more powerful than others, and I'm like, why are you even here? like I have problems with that with some of the X-Men.
Well, speaking of team, I noticed, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they bring up someone's codename being Brainstorm. I remember looking at you and be like, that's actually Valeria Richards' Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I remember you bringing that up. Which, to be fair, I feel like both of us have been kind of trying to brainstorm what the big threat is going to be for this. I mean, I think I like us and like the rest of the general populace have thought it was probably going to be Galactus. And there's so many characters in this that look like Galactus. And I'm like, that's Galactus. Unlike everyone else with Mephisto, you and I are just like,
do you
Galactus.
Heard me during one point, I was making a Mephisto joke.
Yeah, I remember.
I was like,
that was when we were watching the trailer when they showed the
Mephisto.
Yeah, I remember that. That was when we were watching the No Way Home trailer for like the 1000th time.
And I'm deeply annoyed by all that shit.
No, I know, because like we're like only a couple weeks away from No Way Home, and we've only gotten one fucking trailer.
Yeah, so it's like, can I get a fucking second trailer already?
Yeah, I know.
Sony?
Which I feel like they're going to probably middle of this month, end of the month.
That's what the leak I saw said, but I'm trying to think, really, honestly, the really only big complaint I would have is there's just so many characters. I mean, kind of like
that's fair.
Centering back to what we were talking about with Thena and Angelina Jolie's character, there's just so many characters that they can't give the same amount of attention to like nearly all of them that they probably wanted to.
No, I agree. Which I mean, granted, they all are very interesting characters. Like I like that we got to spend time with Faustus and his family. Which, yes, he's gay.
We already
Let's
know
all move
that
on.
A couple countries were pissed. Some people fucking review bombed on IMDb because they're idiots.
I actually really like that we got to have a person who is deaf as one of the Eternals. That was interesting.
Same.
Like I find it weird given that like a god created them, but that's mostly because I'm like, you made one that's either that or like she like got injured during a mission, which I assume is what happened, and so she lost her ability to hear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like given the nature of them, you think the Celestials would like fix it. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just. Yeah. Given like the nature of that's just me overthinking. I was still very happy that they did it. It's just one of those things that you think about.
Yeah.
With, like why they just won't fix Rhodey with his legs.
I was actually gonna make a joke about that. I didn't know if that was gonna be welcome.
Like I don't even really mean to make the joke about Rhodey. I actually get pissed about the fact that Rhodey they won't fix his legs. So I've gotten into fights with people about that. Oh, Extremis can't fix that. I'm like, that's how Tony got his heart fixed in Iron Man 3. I know, because I fucking read the book. But no, like I said, I still thought that was very, very good because like...
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
It was very nice. And I like that like they actually talk with her with like ASL. Only other complaint, I know I brought this up a couple times. They show Mesopotamia in like 5000 BC. Those are the whitest Mesopotamians I've ever fucking seen. Like, some of them were clearly white people.
Fucking white people.
Which is weird because they get the ethnicity right everywhere else, especially Babylon, which is where Mesopotamia is.
It's just fucking weird, but...
Although I felt really dumb when they went to Iraq to get their ship, and I was like, it took me when I was like, right, Babylon's where Iraq is. Because I used to know that because I loved studying Mesopotamia.
Well, I remember I leaned into you at one point and I was like, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon didn't actually fucking exist, by the way. They think that was an amalgamation of a couple different places.
I mean, fair, but like, I'm fine with that because like...
It's a fictional world.
It's a fictional world and they could... I mean, granted, they still here say that aliens built everything despite the fact...
Oh, remember, I did that joke too at one point. I was like, aliens.
I do remember you got I had to tell you that when we got the Tenochtitlan that it was that they were doing the Aztec.
I told you I was like, where the fuck are we?
No, as someone who's has a big love of the road to El Dorado and just learning about like the Aztec Empire, like yeah, it took me a moment. I'm like, Tenochtitlan. Oh yeah, the Aztec Empire. Which I actually like that they actually got that right. Although it was hard to tell if they actually got like the designs for the conquistadors down right. They got the Aztec designs.
It looked decent to me.
They look decent to me too.
Probably the biggest takeaway for me with this movie is that, again, they dug into some really deep lore.
Yeah, especially given the end credit scenes, which we're going to talk about that real quick. Like, we're not going to spoil them for you, but I kind of want to give a warning to those. But yeah, like there's so many deep cuts. Like, I didn't know half of it probably. Like, I knew a lot of the characters because I had an idea of them, given like the fact that they all tie into mythology in some way or shape or form. Although with Sprite, I think they reference Tinkerbell, which Disney, but yeah, there's a lot of deep cuts in here.
Yeah.
If you want to give
which
your
I feel might turn some casual viewers off.
Because we had someone in the theater, you said, that was like, fuck this.
Yeah, at the end, at the very last postcard, he got up and was like, fuck this, and he left. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. I'm sorry that you had to spend a little bit of time looking some shit up like the rest of us.
No, I know. Like, because like, it was very, very complicated. And like I said, the end credits, I feel a lot of people are probably going to be like, that's it? Because like, the end credits introduced some very, very obscure Marvel characters. Who I feel like the one character I feel is clearly tying them into like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Captain.
Either the Marvels or Guardians 3.
Given like that character and what we saw of him, especially because the character is him and Thena are tied into Thanos. I won't say how, but they're tied into Thanos, and given the fact that Gamora was originally his daughter, I kind of assume that's a lead into Guardians 3. I have a very big feeling that's going to be a tie into Guardians 3. Just because I think Ego, who is Star-Lord's father, I think is an Eternal himself. I want to say, or is related to it. The other one, my theory has something to do with Captain America. That's all I'll say about the last one. I'm not sure, because the reveal at that, like, even I was like, what? But I feel like it might be tied into Captain America. That's all I'll say about that, but I do feel like both stingers are probably going to confuse the shit out of people, because they're not characters anybody knows. Like, I definitely did. Like, I didn't know the one. He looked familiar to me, but I was wrong. I thought the character they introduced was Adam Warlock. So, for those of you who've been wanting Adam Warlock to show up, it's not him.
That's not happening until Guardians 3.
That's definitely not happening until Guardians 3. Although that's going to be really confusing with him and Adam Warlock on the screen, because they have very similar costumes. But, your thoughts on the stingers?
They were okay. It was just a case of, I'm like, it's not really that I'm not excited, it's just...
What?
It was more of a what moment. It's like, I didn't know who these people were, but...
What?
I look forward to seeing where they go with them.
I do as well, especially the last stinger. To be honest, the last stinger kind of was more for me to... That's mostly because I'm excited to see if they're actually going to do what I think they're going to do. Otherwise, honestly, this opens more questions than it answers, if I'm honest. But to be honest, I feel like this was a better setup movie than I'd say Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Like, because this didn't feel like it was a setup movie.
For Shang-Chi, the setup almost felt kind of forced.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I definitely like this a lot. If we were to rank the superhero movies that we've seen this year, Suicide Squad for me is still going to be up there. I'd probably rank Black Widow still underneath it. Then probably Eternals, and then probably Shang-Chi. I definitely really like this film, but like, given like I knew nothing of any of these characters, it still isn't nearly like it doesn't beat out Black Widow for me, but it definitely beats out Shang-Chi just because I think I kind of found this a little bit more interesting. Like, and that's nothing against Shang-Chi. It's just I was a little disappointed with that movie because I thought it was going to be much more martial arts oriented than we got. It was still a good film. It's just it didn't go like the way I wanted it to. And that's not a slight against it. It's just in my preferences. And of course, nothing so far has topped Suicide Squad for me, but that's because I fucking love that movie to pieces. That was an amazing film.
Yeah, I don't really want to rank the movie so far because I'm like, I know Spider-Man's going to come, like,
it's
going to blow it out of the fucking water.
Once Spider-Man shows up, I'm just going to be like, get this shit out of here. Put Spider-Man right here. All that shit sucked. This year was a fucking waste except for Spider-Man. That's good. Because you know that's going to be what you and I are going to do.
Basically.
Comes out. Ranking wise, I'll give it this an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a very solid picture.
I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10.
If you're really into Jack Kirby stuff, I think you'll really get a kick out of this because they actually fucking credited Kirby too. They gave Kirby like full fucking credit. He doesn't share it with anybody. It is Jack fucking Kirby, and I'm so happy for that because Jack does not get nearly as much credit despite him being like the other half of Marvel Comics. But yeah, if you want something that's a little bit more
formulaic,
not formulaic, but like a little less formulaic, and maybe something that like kind of gives you an idea of like what we're playing with in the higher planes of the Marvel universe, I think you'll like this. If you're looking for something a little bit more action heavy, you might be a little disappointed. But otherwise, I think you'll like it. Anything else you want to say about?
I think you nailed it pretty well.
All right. Well, guys, this has been it for Hyphenated Reviews. We've got some stuff coming up. We've already got one shot, but you know we have to wait because we put the last one out on Halloween. This one will come up probably before we even get to the actual other episodes.
This is getting uploaded Sunday night because I gotta.
Yeah.
I'm off tomorrow, and then Sunday I'll come in and all.
Then we've got to record tomorrow night too. We've actually gotten a really recording heavy this week, but that's kind of the nature of recording. Sometimes we just we get like a bunch of shots basically. Yeah.
Then we'll go through periods where it's like, fuck, we gotta film tonight.
We gotta film. Anyway, guys, look forward to what we got up this November. I think we'll have a few things set up, and then next month Spidey-Miss, which is gonna be great. Until then, guys, I'm Zongetsu 134,
and as always, I'm Average Joe Squad,
and I don't really know how to end Hyphenated Reviews, so see ya. So, take care.
And as always,
we ask you,
remember the hyphen
and take care.